Hi, this is Debbie from Westgate, and today we're going to tackle the next 4 questions on the ACTmath pretest. And all of the questions on this pretest are composed of questions that are likely to show up on virtually every single ACT. So these are the most commonly tested math problems. So for each one, I'll have you look at the problem and see if you can solve it yourself before watching and seeing it solved. So for number 5, go ahead and read the problem and come back when you feel like you want to check your answer. So go ahead and pause now, and I'll see you in a minute. Alright, welcome back. Question number 5 is a midpoint question, and it's very typical to see a midpoint on pretty much every ACT math section. And we are looking at a formula that you need to know. So midpoint is where you add your 2x coordinates and you divide by 2. That'll give you your midpoint for your x's. And same thing with your y. You'll add your 2 y coordinates and divide by 2. So there, that would provide you with the midpoint. That'll be a question you're likely to see in the first part of the test. Question number 5 is likely to be a second half question, meaning either 31 through 60, because it's a little bit harder. You'll notice that they tell you there's a line AB and that its midpoint is 2, 1. So they've already given you the midpoint, and it's up to you to figure out one of your missing x's and y's. Point A has coordinates of -4, 0. And so it's going to be up to you to figure out what the measurements of point B would be. Well, using this formula over here, we know that one of our x's is -4 and 0. What we don't know is our next x and our next y. So we'll just fill in x and y for the unknowns there, because we don't know the next x and we don't know the next y of point B. But we do know that their midpoint is 2, 1. So if you'll just use the foundation of this formula, you will know that -4 plus one of the numbers in your answer choices, when divided by 2, has to equal 2. So you know that 4 divided by 2 is 2, right? So when we add -4 to which of these numbers over here are we going to get 2? Well, clearly it has to be 8, because -4 plus 8 is +4. So right now, I already know my answer's got to be B or E. So what I have figured out is that this x coordinate is 8. Now let's figure out the y coordinate. Same thing. I know that 0 plus y, when divided by 2, has to equal my next midpoint coordinate, which is 1. So what number, when divided by 2, is 1? 2, right? 2 divided by 2 is 1. So 0 plus what will give me 2? Only 2. 0 plus 2 equals 2. So your answer already should be clear. It's choice B. Okay? So our y coordinate here would be 2. Okay? So real typical question there. Okay, if you want to take a look at 6 and pause and come back when you're ready, we'll get working on solving question number 6. Alrighty, now this one is a little tricky. Percents, it's all in the way that they are worded. And there is something that can help you with percent questions. One is very carefully reading the question to determine exactly how they're asking it. But believe it or not, there actually is a formula. If you just do what you normally do, which is multiply the percent times the number, you're missing the intent of the question. So let's read this. Amy inherited money from a relative. She paid taxes of 32% on the original inheritance amount and had $12,500 remaining. how much was the original inheritance amount to the nearest dollar? Well, what she has left is after she paid the 32%. So if you take 100% minus 32%, you'll realize that she has what percentage left, because everything as a whole is 100%, right? So she has 68% left. That's what that number represents with the 12,500. 68% is what she has left, and what she has left is 12,500. So careful reading is what would give you that. There's no tricky math in that. That's just making sure you understand the question. And then in terms of a formula for percent problems, because they can ask in so many different ways, is this. Some students have learned this and some have not. Okay, that should be an A. So it's what percent, because the line literally means per, and cent is 100. And we're going to do is out of. So we can plug this word problem right into this nice little formula. Well, we'll see that 68%, so I'm going to do 60. So whenever you have the percent symbol, it's going to be written percent. That means you have those two pieces already. And then you typically need to figure out, you're going to have three altogether, and you need to figure out which one you're missing. Is and out of. So is your 12,500 the total amount she had, which would be your out of, or is it a part of what she had? 68% is 12,500, so that's what you've got there. And you're missing the out of. You're looking for the total amount that she started. Every fraction is always set up as part on the numerator, total on the denominator. Now you would just cross multiply to solve for x. So 12,500, and you will have a calculator, thank heavens. I don't have my calculator right here, but if you did 12,500 times 100, you're just going to do 12, 5, 0, 0, 0, 0 equals 68x. And then to solve for x, just simply divide by 68. And that's going to give you your answer. It's going to give you the full amount, and I know that should be 68. Yes. Okay. And then looking at your multiple choice answers, that comes to 18,382. All right, so go ahead and take a look at question number 7, and we will come back in just a moment and solve that one. All right, welcome back. Number 7, really common, and hopefully you're recognizing when you see this format, because you're going to do this at least once per test, if not more, is whenever you see anything looking like this, they want you to FOIL. Okay? So question number 7 is a foiling problem. No getting away from that on the test. So if you need a review, let's cover that. Okay, so original problem is 3x plus y times x squared minus y. Okay, so it's first inner, so 3x times x squared is 3x to the third. Because remember, there's always like that little invisible one there. Multiply coefficients and add exponents. Then, first outer 3x times negative y. Well, we've got a positive times a negative, so we're going to go minus 3xy. And then we can go to the bottom if we want. Y times x squared. Both are positive, so it's going to be plus. I'm just going to keep the x first since we have that in the previous one. Plus x squared times y. And then lastly, we have positive y times negative y. So that's going to be negative y squared. And if you look at the exam, you'll see we've got a perfect fit right here, number E. There are no like terms we can combine, which a lot of times there are when we're foiling, but not here. All done on that one. So make sure before you take the exam you know how to foil. For each of these different strategies, we will be posting drill down exercises. So if you are stuck with foiling or percent problems or midpoints and you need extra practice, there'll be a whole set of skill number 7 foiling questions where you can just practice foiling. Okay, so those will be available soon. And then lastly, this is not really a math skill per se, it's more of a, sometimes I call them gaming questions, and I don't typically go over ones unless they repeat, and I've seen these on several ACT exams. So they're going to give you a number, 0.4985. Sorry, go ahead and pause if you need to, see if you want to, see if you can figure out how to solve it, and if not, come on back here in a second, okay? Alright, so when we're looking at solving this, what is the 127th digit after the decimal point in the repeating decimal? Well, you can see it's just the 49 and the 85 which repeat. So because we want to know the 127th digit, you want to go up in multiples of 4, right? I would know the fourth digit is 5, the 8th digit would be 5, the 12th digit would be 5. Now I don't want to count by 4s all the way up to 132. So if you just took your calculator and tried to get as close as you can, and just take 127 divided by 4, you go ahead and do that, you'll see that you get 31.75, not a whole number, right? So what that means is I can't quite do 32 multiples of 4 because I would shoot over the number, but I could at least do 31 repetitions, correct? Of multiples of 4. So if I go 31 times 4, that means I'm just doing this division problem to see, you know, how close I can get so that I don't have to keep going up by multiples of 4. So if I do 31 repetitions of 4, that would bring me to digit 124. Okay, so that means my 124th digit is going to be a 5. So if I say 124, 125, 126, 127. There we go. So number 8 is the 127th digit. Okay? So you get as close as you can by dividing by how many numbers are repeating, and then mark off that stops at 124, and then you can always hand count to get up to the next piece. Okay? Alright, go ahead if you haven't already done math practice problems 1 through 4, which is also on my channel. Try those problems out, and we'll have your next lesson waiting for you in the next day or two.